Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Making it for water, easy, see something Charlie. Little boo guys got him, and I'm gonna miss everybody out of roll and flow like eggs. Looked at a wild flag and played for dust, and they play too deep for beach side. Little legs I came to be. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on June the 22nd to Collision on June the 27th, as well as the Night of Champions pay-per-view, or PLE, whatever you want to call it. As I kind of talked about last week, little programming note before we get started. Next week's going to be a mega show. I'm going to have to cover Great American Bash from NXT, AEW's Forbidden Door, and TNA Slammiversary, all to kind of start off next week's episode. So we'll see kind of how that works out when we get there. I'm hoping to be able to watch all three shows, but I may just have to throw out some results on one or on at least one show. I should be able to watch at least a couple of them, but just with work and other stuff, it may be tough for me to get all three full shows in. But like I said, we'll see when we get there. But the plan is to cover all three next week. But as of now, I'm just doing Night of Champions tonight, or today, and the TV that happened along with it. So we open with Raw, of course. We open with the videos of the King, Queen of the Ring tournaments and what the tournament, winning the tournament means for your career, and obviously the immediate title shot that you get at SummerSlam. We have Obafemi, who is in the King of the Ring final, to come out. He loves hearing the fans chant his name, but moves on to Destiny, having his back for years. Lady Destiny has been very kind to him over the years, and will continue to do so this Saturday. But who should he come after when he wins the King of the Ring? The fans seem interested in Obafemi versus Roman Reigns, which brings out Jey Uso, who is his opponent on Saturday. He gets the whole entrance and comes out, and Obafemi just kind of glares him down while this stuff is going on. The fans actually want him to run it back, but Femi says, nah, we're not going to do that. But then Jay ends up doing it anyways. He says, but then when that's out of the way, Jay talks about how people are saying he can't win King of the Ring, but he knows how to overcome mountains. On Saturday, he's winning the crown, and then at SummerSlam, he's taking Cody Rhodes' championship. Obafemi then tells him that if he shoots, he better not miss, because if he does, Femi will destroy him. And then Femi also says the quote, and if you are, he kind of just reiterates, and if you don't miss, I will still destroy you. So he kind of just reiterates that either way, even if he hits him, even if he does, he will still destroy him. The thing is, Jay isn't the member of the family that Oba is worried about. So give Roman Reigns the bullets for later. So basically says he's looking past him to get to Roman Reigns in the World Heavyweight title. We then look back at Jacob Fatu attacking actor Eric Andre last week. We go to Adam Pearce. He's on the phone and runs into LA Knight, who thinks Pearce is on the phone with the Bloodline so they can give him orders. Jimmy Uso comes in to complain about Knight hitting him with the chair last week. Pearce tries to break it up, but Knight tells both of them to shut up. Pearce makes a match between them tonight. Knight says that's a terrible idea, and then suggests the exact same thing, to which Jimmy says that's exactly what he just said. LA Knight says he doesn't care because he didn't listen to what Pearce had to say, but Pearce says the match is on for later tonight. We then have Paige and Brie Bella. They retain their tag team titles against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria when Paige hits Rampage on Lyra. After the match, Valkyria is pissed, but Bayley gets her to hug it out. And they hug for a little bit, but Lyra snaps and gets attacked, and attacks Bayley. Lyra slaps her in the face a few times and then sends her throat first into the middle rope. Some agents come in, but Lyra is still able to hit Nightwing on Bayley to leave her laying. After the commercial break comes back, Lyra's getting asked questions, but Lyra doesn't have anything to say on what just happened. So probably a heel turn that was needed. I don't know that I trust her so much to be a heel, but one of them needed to turn heel, and I feel like Bayley's going to flip flop quite a bit over the last few years. So maybe Lyra can pull it off, but she seems pretty babyface. I think she's probably a little bit more comfortable on the babyface side, but we'll see. Maybe she'll surprise me. We then have Chad Gable come out for a promo. He talks about how everything has been going crazy for him lately with the loss of his mask in Mexico. There are some people he needs to apologize to face, though. So he asked for the Alpha Academy to come to the ring. Tozawa, Otis, and Maxine all come out. Gable praises Maxine for winning a singles title while he was gone, which Gable himself admits that he has not done. He apologizes for how he treated her, and it is all his fault. Akira Tozawa is the definition of fighting spirit with the heart of a lion, and Tozawa didn't deserve what Chad Gable put them through either. He then turns to Otis. Gable says that Otis is the most loyal friend he could ever have. Gable threw all of that away for a chance at singles gold, and after all that, he owes them an apology. He formally then says, "I'm sorry," and Gable extends his hand for a handshake. Otis isn't sure what to do, but goes to shake Gable's hand, only for Maxine to get in between them. Maxine says everything Gable has said and done is a lie. She knows Otis and Tozawa have the biggest hearts and want to give him a second chance, but she doesn't feel the same way. Maxine rants about all of the things that Gable did to them because it has always been about him and not about the group. Now they're going to leave him like they left them alone. Maxine and Tozawa leave pretty quickly, but Otis kind of lingers for a minute before joining them. We then go back to the back. Dragon Lee gets some encouragement for Rey Mysterio and Penta before his match against Ethan Page next. Ethan Page is able to defeat Dragon Lee via pinfall following an egoplex. We then get video hyping up the main event tonight of the Vision of Braun Breaker and Austin Theory taking on the Street Profits for the tag team titles. We then go to the Vision's locker room, and Logan Paul talks about how he's healing faster than any human in history from his, I can't remember if it's a bicep or tricep, but from that injury that he sustained. They're ready to win tonight, with Braun Breaker being ready to also crush Seth Rollins in the cage match on Saturday. We then get a video of our Women's Intercontinental Champion, Sol Ruca, just kind of hyping her up, talking about how she's a thrill seeker, and just kind of little stuff like that, just kind of hyping her up and what her character kind of is and all that kind of stuff. We then go to Io Sky. She comes out to cut a promo. She is grateful to have gotten here. She can't wait to face Liv Morgan for the crown on Saturday. This brings out Liv, saying she's going to win on Saturday to crush Io Sky's dreams for good. Sky asks if the crown can fit on Morgan's head, and then rants at her in Japanese. Morgan then kind of goes after her, but Io Sky is able to clear her out without much of a fight back or anything like that. We then go to the Usos. They are ready in the back when Jacob Fatu interrupts. Jace asks where Fatu has been all night and why he was on SmackDown. Fatu says he doesn't answer to the Usos and can sit and wait to find out what is happening next. The Judgment Day then comes up to Danhausen, they want their money back because he didn't curse Obafemi. He has already spent the $100,000 they paid him on experiments, so they threaten to beat him up. This earns JD McDonough a curse, and he electrocutes himself on some of Danhausen's equipment, so he kind of reverts into a lesser version of himself, I guess. He seems like he's just out of this world and kind of real spacey and all that kind of stuff. But this is able to this makes Danhausen able to escape from getting beat up or anything like that. We then have LA Knight defeat Jimmy Uso in their match via pinfall. When Solo Sikoa comes out of nowhere, Samoan spikes Jimmy, and then LA Knight is able to take advantage of that and hit the BFT for the win. We go to Bayley. She is getting medical treatment, and is asked what she thought of what happened earlier, and she says she honestly really has nothing to say and is still in shock. So we'll see more with that as we go forward, I'm sure. But we then go to Roxanne and Raquel. They're happy with Liv, but want something of their own to celebrate. Dom and JD come into the clubhouse with McDonough not recognizing anyone. Liv then comes in to rant about how unfair that was to her, what Io just did, with Raquel having to put her in her place, kind of tells her, what about us? Liv Morgan tries to calm things down. and says Raquel could be the next women's Intercontinental Champion, but doesn't really suggest anything for Roxanne. And Roxanne asks what she can do, what's in the plans for her or whatever. And then as soon as she asks that, Liv says we got to get JD to medical because obviously he's not himself. We then go to earlier today. Corey Graves sat down with Seth Rollins, who says things have not been going his way, but they would have been even worse without the Street Profits on his side and having his back. Rollins knows the risk of getting into the cage with Braun Breaker, but he has to prove that he can still do this. Then he can get back to regaining the championship that he never lost. So obviously has his eyes somewhat set on a Roman Reigns matchup here in the future. We then go to Chad Gable. He's talking to Adam Pearce about a possible Intercontinental Championship match with Penta. The Judgment Day comes in. Dom says no one's facing Penta before he is. So, and he also wants an apology from Gable as well. Gable says that Dom sent him to Mexico in the first place, and he doesn't just hand out apologies. If anything, Dom should apologize to him. If Mysterio wants an apology, he can try to beat it out of him. Dom then says Gable can face JD next week, but Pearce wants the doctor to clear McDonough first. McDonough thinks Pearce is a doctor, but then he tells him to go off and go to medical. So we'll see where JD goes from here, because obviously Kit and Miz are still in pretty bad shape, as we'll see on SmackDown. And then we go to our main event. The Street Profits become our new tag team champions when Joe Hendry comes out, chases Logan Paul away, and then Seth Rollins is able to get Braun Breaker to kind of chase him away from ringside. They leave Theory all alone. Dawkins hits the sky high, and then Montez follows it with his big frog splash. And like I said, the Street Profits are your new tag team champions. This match got a ton of time. Had some interference, so I could see that bothering some people and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was the best match of the night. Like I said, it was given plenty of time. Lots of promos. Obviously, we're headed into a pay-per-view or a premium live event later in the week. So there wasn't just a ton of matches, a lot of promos, a lot of storyline stuff. So, but they gave plenty of time to this main event, and I thought it succeeded in what it was trying to do. But from there, we'll go to NXT. Tony D'Angelo opens things up. He's not happy with Naraku not signing the contract for the Great American Bash. But Robert Stone tells him to be on good behavior. We then have Aaron Rourke come up to Tony D'Angelo. Tony D wishes him good luck tonight. Rourke, who's appreciative, wishes Tony D'Angelo the same at the Great American Bash. We then have Aaron Rourke defending his men's Evolve Championship. He successfully does defend it against Tristan Angels. Tristan Angels actually gets pulled under the ring at some point. It comes out kind of discombobulated, and this allows Rourke to kind of hit his version of the Molly Go Round to retain his championship and get the win. So we're assuming that Shiloh Hill was under the ring. We don't ever really see who it was, I don't think. I don't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure we don't actually see that it was Shiloh Hill. But we assume that it's Shiloh Hill pulling him under there and kind of roughing him up a little bit. But then we go to the backstage. Tony D'Angelo finds Naraku in the parking lot, which nothing good can ever happen. Nothing good happens here. Naraku then presents him with the signed contract, but Tony D'Angelo opens it up and a fireball explodes in his face. Robert Stone then panics while Naraku just cackles and laughs in the background. We then come back from commercial, and an ambulance arrives to pick up Tony D, and he's taken away, and Robert Stone is not sure what is going to happen with his title match at the Great American Bash now. We then have Saquon Sugars. He comes out for a face-to-face with Deion Lennox. Sugars cuts him off to talk about Dark State throwing him through a table 5 weeks ago. Lennox was the one acting like the leader and calling Sugars an independent wrestler. Sugars is indeed a wrestler, but Lennox says Sugars wasn't supposed to even be on the team. Dark State got what they wanted out of him and then moved on. With the final beating coming on Sunday, Sugars insists that there is no Dark State without him. Sugars says the other two are lost without him. If Lennox put on Sugars' jockstrap, it would be a bad fit. Lennox says Sugars is a facade and he would disappear just before it was go time. Dropping Sugars wasn't a mistake because it was a correction. Lennox is ready to finish him off at the Bash, and that is what he plans to do. So probably a good segment to hype up a match that probably didn't have too many people excited, but I'm excited to see what they could do. Definitely more excited to see what maybe Sugars is capable of doing after this. I do think he's one of the better. I have felt the whole time that Dark State has existed that maybe he was probably one of the stronger parts of it. So we'll see what they can kind of put together when it comes to the Great American Bash later on today. We then have Hank and Tank. They talked to the comedian Matt Matthews, who's still hanging around. They say he might even be ready to get in the ring. So we'll see if they eventually put this guy in a maybe 6-man tag down the line or something like that. Hopefully not, but we'll see. We then have Miles Bourne. He talks about being someone who has always been comfortable, but he has grown uncomfortable. But he has grown to kind of live with it. He started to get comfortable in the No Quarter Catch crew and has gotten even better. Tavion Heights talks about their time together, and now they're fighting for the North American title come the Great American Bash. So another possibly interesting matchup at the Great American Bash. Obviously, Bourne seems to be kind of somebody that they're trying to push further and further up the card. I could see him kind of being a NXT title contender before year's end. But obviously a big match here because I think Tavion's pretty talented as well. So we'll see what and how they can do when the Great American Bash happens. We then have Red Sinclair. She can't calm Tavion down because he doesn't have a title. Kendall Gray comes in and gives the now healthy Ren Sinclair a pep talk because she will have to defend her speed championship coming up pretty soon as the as the tournament final is later on tonight, I believe. So we then have Hank and Tank. They defeat Birthright of Uriah Connors and Stax when they hit the Hank and Tank Express on Stax. We then have Shiloh Hill. He says he's healthy, both body and mind, and wants to beat up Tristan Angels at the Great American Bash. We then go backstage for the women's title contract signing. Kendall Gray says she hit Lola Vice by mistake last week, but Vice doesn't want to hear it. She says she has Gray's style figured out. Gray talks about how her own amateur wrestling style. Gray is going to raise the bar even higher on Sunday, though Lola Vice doesn't think Gray is doing anything Vice hasn't done in the first place. Lola promises to retain, and then they both sign the contract. We then have a match with EK Prosper versus Keanu Carver, and EK Prosper is able to score the upset win. He's able to reverse a powerbomb attempt into a sunset flip. After the match, Keanu, being pissed that he got beaten, lays him out with a running clothesline and a powerbomb and puts Prosper through the announce table. We then go to Zarya. She is ready for Tatum Paxley, who couldn't let Zarya enjoy her own success, being the new North American Women's Champion. And now they have a title match set for Great American Bash as well. We then have Robert Stone. He tells Naraku that he might have just cost himself a title shot. Keanu Carver comes in and gets yelled at by Stone for what he did to EK, but he doesn't seem to have much remorse for it. We then do have our Speed Women's Final, like I said earlier. Ariana Grace is able to defeat Izzy Dame via pinfall when Shawn Spears randomly wants a high five from Izzy after doing something good. And she kind of hesitates, but she finally obliges and gives her a high five. And then as she charges towards Ariana is able to catch her with a small package, and that makes Ariana Grace the number one contender for the Speed Championship. Ren Sinclair then comes out for a stare down as Dane doesn't want to hear it from the other members of the culling. But then have Robert Stone says there are going to be some AAA stars at the Great American Bash, and we'll get an update of the NXT title match before the end of the night. The Vanity Project then comes in and wants to be part of the Great American Bash with Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes being the tag team champions, and obviously Jackson Drake being one of the hottest new stars. But Stone doesn't seem to want to hear it from them right now. So they eventually, we'll see in the main event segment, but Drake tries to kind of work himself into the Tony D'Angelo spot if Tony D'Angelo's not available to be in the NXT title match. But we then go to Jada Parker. She is upset with her loss to Natty Neidhart last week. but doesn't seem to want to talk about it with OTM, who comes in to kind of check on her. She seems pretty despondent and doesn't want to talk to anyway. The culling had hung around ringside because they have a tag team match. Dorian Van Dukes and Sean Legacy are able to beat them when Legacy hits a 450 splash, and then Van Dukes follows it with a shooting star press that hit both on Sean Spears. And after the match, Sean Spears is finally kicked out of the culling. Nico Vance turns on him and choke slams him through the announcer's table. So the announcer's table is taking a very hard beating tonight. And then Izzy Dame seems to approve of what Nico just did. So have kind of been seeing it coming for a while. Spears has just made mistake after mistake after mistake, and they're just obviously getting angrier and angrier with him. So we'll see what Dame and Nico can do by themselves. I think Spears isn't the most exciting guy in the world or anything like that, but I do think Vance is better off in a tag team with him. Maybe they'll bring in another member, who knows? But we'll see how this goes for him. I'm not here or there about it. I don't think it's a guaranteed success, but I also don't think it's a guaranteed failure or anything like that. But we'll finally go to the main event. Robert Stone explains the NXT title situation. He brings out the challenger, Naraku, who says if Tony D'Angelo is out, he'll just take the championship. Mason Rook then comes out as well. He says that he'll fight in Tony D's place if that's what needs to be done. Then the Vanity Project comes out, kind of like I was implying earlier, saying they want in on the title match. Mason Rook takes the Vanity Project out. So Naraku says give him the title. Robert Stone then says it was always going to be someone else for the title match, and Tony D'Angelo is back. He has the bandages on his head from the fireball earlier, obviously, but he clears Naraku out of the ring, and it will still be Tony D versus Naraku for the NXT Championship. So I think it was definitely kind of a bait and switch the whole time. Obviously, I think this may impede Tony D at the title shot. I could definitely see Naraku winning the championship and going on a little bit of a reign. Obviously, he's kind of teased bringing people in, and I think I even saw that WWE has filed for a trademark of a name. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I think I saw something on Twitter about a name that kind of sounded vaguely Japanese. So it could be somebody that teams up with him. So we'll see. If he kind of brings somebody in, I think if that happens, obviously he probably walks away with the title and we start building some kind of Japanese group around Evil / Naraku. So, but as far as best match, again, this is kind of to build to a big show. So there was a few matches sprinkled in, but a lot of segments. But I would go with the Culling versus Dorian Van Dukes and Strong Legacy tag team match. This best match of the night. So. We'll go from there to Dynamite. We open with Jon Moxley giving the Death Riders a pep talk. They have a 6-man tag to open the show. They are successful in that 6-man tag. The Death Riders, represented by Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, defeat Brodito and Mystico when Mox gets a belt shot with his Continental Championship on Brody King and then rolls him up for the pinfall. After the match, Bandito has a quick stare down with the Death Riders, as obviously he will be facing Jon Moxley for the Continental Championship at Forbidden Door. We then go to the conglomeration. They are ready to fight in the cage at the Forbidden Door. Darby Allin is ready to fight, and the team promises to load up their backpacks. The rest of the team leaves, and Orange Cassidy seems a bit annoyed, but insists that he's fine. But Renee Paquette does not seem all that convinced. We then go to Harley Cameron. She defeats Marina Shafir via pinfall when she reverses a kind of rear naked choke into a pinning situation, the classic Survivor Series 96 move where she kind of flips over while she still has the rear naked choke in, or the $1 Million Dream, kind of whatever you want to call it. But this qualifies Harley Cameron for the Survival of the Fittest TBS title match that will happen next week. So we'll finally determine our TBS champion next week. We then get video of Maya World versus Mercedes Moné. in the women's Owen Hart Cup final. So kind of a video just hyping that up here for both sides of the thing. How Maya's kind of doing it for her brother, and Mercedes kind of talking about how she's the best, and she's the current Owen Cup winner, so she knows what it takes to win something like this, and she is kind of somewhat looking past Maya in the grand scheme of things. We then have Will Ospreay defeat El Phantasmo of New Japan. He's from New Japan, obviously. He's been around in ROH and stuff like that over the past, but he just comes in here from New Japan Pro Wrestling, obviously. But he defeats them via pinfall, following a hidden blade. After the match, Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana come out for a stare down, with Ospreay leaving through the crowd as Swerve has the next match. Swerve defeats Daniel Garcia via pinfall. He also does a hidden blade to win his match. It's kind of a shot at Will, obviously. After the match, Swerve continues to go after Daniel Garcia's arm, so Ospreay runs in to kind of fight him off. Nana offers a distraction, though, and Strickland gives Ospreay the house call. He loads up a vertebraker on Daniel Garcia and hits it, and then Ospreay recovers and kind of chases him away with the chair. We then have video of the Team Briscoe versus Team MJF cage match that's happening at Forbidden Door. Don Callis and his family are ready to win, but MJF cuts them off to rant about Mark Briscoe. The reality is that Mark Briscoe has never beaten MJF, and that isn't going to change. MJF thinks that the two sides haven't been on the same page, but Callis whips out a shirt that says Team DC MJF, which is Don Callis, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, obviously. And the images are kind of like a classical painting version of each of them. It's got his MJF's head on one, Don Callis on the other, and they're obviously like ripped and jacked and flexing and all that kind of stuff. MJF and Callis love the shirt, but the rest of the Don Callis family are not at all impressed or okay with what this shirt looks like. We then have Zack Sabre Jr. He defeats Jack Perry via submission with a double arm crank. He absolutely bends him in half. It's kind of nasty looking. Then his TMDK buddies of Bad Dude Tito and Mikey Nichols take on the Young Bucks. Young Bucks are able to defeat them when the Bucks hit the TK driver on Nichols. After the match, TMDK jump the Bucks and Kenny Omega makes the save. Forearms are exchanged between Sabre and Omega, but then TMDK as a whole kind of bails. Omega then grabs the mic and says the best man will win on Sunday, and it will certainly be him. We then look at Tekla. She went over to Stardom. They had a show this previous week, and she attacks the owner, whose last name is ironically Okada. And she even goes after him with some like hair clippers and like shaved the front part of his hair, kind of from behind, kind of snuck up on him. When they go to another survival of the fittest qualification, Queen Aminata defeats Red Velvet via pinfall, the PK kick. Aminata, like I said, qualifies for the survival of the fittest match here. We then go to the Young Bucks. They are ready to super kick their opponents at Forbidden Door. Don't ask me who they are. They're in a buy-in match, I'm pretty sure. Actually, let me look that up real quick because I'm not sure it's on the buy-in or not. But they're in a random like 2-on-2-on-2 kind of situation. So let me look it up just real quick to tell you. They're both from international companies. So they are facing El Sky Team of Mystico and Mascara Dorado, and then they're also taking on Unbound Company, which is Shingo Takagi and Titan from New Japan, I believe. So they have a match. It's not for anything. I'm guessing maybe the winners could get a title shot of some sort. But kind of while the Young Bucks are getting interviewed, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are brawling with the Dogs. They brawl into the makeup area, and Connors blinds Copeland with some hairspray, and that kind of helps them take over. The Dogs then choke them out with some camera wires, and then we go to a 5-second pose complete with one of them wearing Christian Cage's old over-the-top sunglasses that he used to wear back in the day. We then have an international title match. Konosuke Takeshita retains, defeating Ricochet via pinfall following a Raging Fire. We then have Mark Briscoe come out for our main event promo. He has something to say about MJF. He and his friends are ready to fight in the cage on Sunday, and he brings up their history and blood and guts. That was all about the thrill of the fight, but this has some more consequential implications, which was funny coming out of Briscoe's mouth. Briscoe agrees that he and MJF are nothing alike, and he thanks God for that, but he knows he can beat MJF if they get a chance. On Sunday, he'll be fighting with his friends, while MJF will have some hired stars who don't care about him on his side. Don Callis comes out for a distraction so MJF can jump Mark Briscoe from behind. Briscoe fights back, and we get the parade of people running in all at one time. Each hit like a single big move, maybe their finisher. Andrade has to save MJF from the J Driller, but they go face to face. Callis cuts them off, and MJF loads up his Dynamite Diamond ring while Andrade kind of holds Briscoe, but Briscoe's able to duck, and he hits Andrade, and then Briscoe hits the J Driller to lay MJF out, and the conglomeration team kind of stand tall in the show. So just some little bit more excitement for that match headed into Sunday. So Takeshi and Ricochet was incredible. I always say this, and I will continue to say this, but Takeshi just having a match on TV is probably going to be your best match of the night, let alone maybe the week in most situations. So definitely check that one out, as Ricochet's a hell of a talent as well. We then go to Impact. The Broken Hardys start things out. Matt talks about the Wicked Garden changing them, but that is a good thing, as they have now ascended. They have been rebroken by fate, and they will get their titles back at Slammiversary. This brings out the Righteous, who talk about how they have beaten the Hardys over and over. Here they stand more enlightened, but Matt threatens more violence. The System then come out, who are the tag team champions and all this, ironically. They mock the whole idea of the weird stuff the other teams are talking about. Matt promises to regain the titles at Slammiversary, and they all brawl. The Hardys throw in a ladder, and Jeff starts to climb up it as people are standing outside in kind of the splash zone, but they all run away before he can do the big dive. We then go to the back. Order 4 comes up to Daria Ray, who doesn't like what Santino has been doing around here, and as a result, the Great Hands are now added to the tag team ladder match, as if it needed more teams. We then go to Mara Sade. She defeats M by Elegance via DQ when Elena Black comes out and attacks her. This match was actually supposed to be Ash by Elegance versus Mara Sade, but Ash got the word Mark cheered at her, or chanted at her and jeered at her loud enough, and she was not comfortable wrestling the match. So she threw M in there for the match. Anyways, but after the match, the brawl is on. Indy Hartwell was on commentary, and she's able to, her and Mara are able to get the kind of fight off the Elegance brand and Elena for a little bit, but then the undead realm of Rosemary and Allie come out and make the real save. So obviously the numbers finally got on the Faces side, and they were able to ward them off. We then have Eric Young. He tried to show Ricky Sosa how things worked around here when he first debuted, but was disrespected. It is a test, and Sunday is a test, and Ricky Sosa will learn at Slammiversary that Eric Young is not to be messed with. We then have AJ Francis. He defeats and kind of squashes a guy named Manny Lemons via pinfall following the down payment. After the match, Elijah pops up on the screen and says he and Francis are fighting at Slammiversary with his name and likeness on the line. We then have Xia Brookside defeat Harley Hudson via pinfall following a Dark Side DDT. After the match, Xia Brookside goes after Harley some more, but Legging Lee comes out to make the save, though not very quickly, but does make the save and kind of kicks Xia out of the ring and checks on Harley. We then go to earlier today. We had a sit-down contract signing with Nick Nemeth and Mike Santana before their title match. Nick Nemeth talks about how Santana has had a great year, but Nemeth has had 23 great years. Santana goes through everything he has faced over the years, and the title is his reward, the whole thing. Yes, Nemeth has done everything over the years, and he deserves credit, but Santana was the one who put the company on his back and carried it forward. People thought Nemeth was going to be that guy, but Santana actually is that guy. Nemeth brings up Santana's daughter, which makes Santana take his sunglasses off. Santana decks him, and the brawl is on with Ryan Nemeth, offering a distraction so Nick can send Santana face first into the title belt that's on the table, which ends up busting Santana Open, which we will see some of later. We then go to Moose with JDC randomly back to kind of be in his corner for his match against Eddie Edwards on Sunday. Moose is ready for his no surrender match with Eddie Edwards, where you win with the other person's corner man throwing in the towel. He suggests that Payback is a bitch, just like Alicia Edwards, which brings out Alicia and Eddie. Eddie talks about rebuilding the system into a better version, but JDC says that wrestling has made Eddie sick in the head. JDC brings up their daughter, and Alicia gets in his face before yelling at Moose for getting played by each and every one of them. She calls Moose a coward as he leaves, he obviously comes back, which he's called a coward, but they're able to avoid violence as Moose and JDC kind of think it's not worth it this time. We then get another hype video for the Ricky Sosa versus Eric Young match at Slammiversary. Obviously, Ricky kind of made his return and took out Eric recently. Eric was the one that kind of took him out in the first place. We then go to Mr. Elegance, Kazarian, and Cedric Alexander defeating Leon Slater, Fabian Eichner, and Casey Navarro, when Kaz is able to catch Leon Slater with a surprise roll-up after he had just hit the Swanton 450 on Mr. Elegance. I believe these 6 men are the men that will be in Ultimate X at Slammiversary for the X Division title. So that was kind of a hype up for that. Nick Nemeth comes out to cut a promo to end the show. He doesn't think that Mike Santana will be at Slammiversary, so let's just make him the world champion right now. Nick Nemeth wants Carlos Silva out here to give him the title, but Ryan Nemeth falls through the entranceway, and a bloody Santana shows up to beat him down. Security then comes in to hold Nick and Mike apart, and Santana goes into the crowd with his bloody face, looking pretty cool to end the show. So the kind of hype up for the X Division, the Ultimate X match at Slammiversary, that 6-man tag was my best match for Impact. We will then go to SmackDown from there. We open with a recap of last week's world title situation, resulting in Cody defending the WWE Championship against Gunther and Sami Zayn after last week. So Trick Williams, a little yachty, didn't come out to get the show going in the ring. Trick was missing last week because he was in Jamaica, where he and Lash Legend got married. After stories about the celebration and what happened all night long, Trick Williams declares it was the greatest night of his life. He's ready to go into Night of Champions and retain his title and move on to SummerSlam. This brings up a pretty ticked off Ricky Saints to interrupt with Trick threatening him with a backhand. Ricky Saints isn't impressed and says Trick is overlooking him. He doesn't need to be looking towards SummerSlam. He says tomorrow you're going to be looking at the new United States champion. Trick says the only person Saints needs to be focused on is his dentist after Trick kicks his teeth down his throat. Saints gets annoyed as Yachty and gets in a cheap shot on him, and he actually gets another one that drops Trick as well. So Ricky Saints kind of stands tall. Alexa Bliss then wants revenge for Charlotte, even if it means teaming with Tiffany Stratton. Stratton then comes in, who says this is a one-night-only thing, and she wants to be left alone after it's all said and done. They are not successful in that, as Meechin and B-Fab are able to defeat them when Jade Cargill provides a distraction, allowing B-Fab to hit a kind of spinning X-Factor type move on Tiffany for the win. After the match, the heel group surrounds Stratton. So here's Chelsea Green, who actually coming into the ring drops her kendo stick. Chelsea Green is still able to send Jade outside, and Jade and crew leave after that. We then look at Solo Sikoa costing Jimmy Uso on Raw. Sikoa brags about taking Uso out, but the MFT says he is so obsessed with Roman Reigns, they say they are out of this family, which leaves Sikoa ranting about how no one leaves him. We then go to Jade Cargill in the back. She is angry. She demands a match against Chelsea Green for later tonight, and Nick Aldis says that is okay with him. We then go to a AAA Cruiserweight Championship match. Rey Fenix is able to defeat Nathan Frazier via pinfall following a Mexican Muscle Buster. After the match, they shake hands, obviously. Banger of a match. Definitely check it out. Ends up being match of the night on SmackDown. But usually if you let these kind of high-flying guys go at it for a good little bit, it usually ends up being a pretty solid match. So I thought it definitely was the best match on the show. But I'll continue through the show. Damian Priest and R-Truth don't see things the same way on rebuilding the Judgment Day Clubhouse. But the War Raiders come in to say that they want a winner-take-all title match. R-Truth gets really confused, starts speaking in some kind of accent, and Priest puts his hands over his mouth eventually and takes him away and agrees to a winner-take-all match for the AAA and WWE Tag Team titles. We then have LA Knight. He arrives and is on his way to the ring. He runs into Jackie Redmond and asks why she is here, because she is usually on Raw. But he asked why she was waiting on him. Feels kind of creeped out by it, but says he's going to the ring to say what he needs to say. We then get a recap of our King of the Ring semifinals that kind of set up the finals coming on Sunday or Saturday. We then have LA Knight come out to the ring. He talks about how he laid Jimmy Uso out on Raw, but he had an unexpected assist. He would like an explanation, so he needs Solo Sikoa to get out here right now. Sikoa comes out with the fans chanting for him, and LA Knight finds the chant that they do for Solo a little bit catchy. Solo says his entire family has left him, but LA Knight isn't impressed, as the MFTs were useless anyways. LA Knight doesn't know what happened on Monday, but maybe it was Roman Reigns' initiation. Sikoa snaps, ranting about how he hates the bloodline, he hates Roman Reigns, and he knows he and Knight have that in common. Knight says they should both hate Roman Reigns, just like everyone else in the bloodline. They have all gone back into the bloodline, though, so why should Knight trust Sikoa? Why is he different? The difference is that Sikoa has nothing to lose, and they could watch each other's back and take out the bloodline together. Knight has heard it's just me, Oos, before, and he probably needs help, and he's going to live and die doing things on his own way. So thanks, but no thanks. So we'll see what continues to happen with Solo. Obviously, the MFTs have been disbanded. Or, his involvement in the MFTs, I should say. But we'll see if maybe him and Knight kind of team up down the road, or if Solo's bloodline bound as well. So we'll see what kind of happens there. We then have Sami Zayn. Talks about how no one listens to him, save for obviously Johnny Gargano, who he's talking to, who is in his comatose state once again. But now he can redeem himself by winning the WWE Championship at Night of Champions. I almost called it Clash of Champions. We then have Paige defeat JC Jane via pinfall in her hometown, or close to her hometown, I should say, when she's able to reverse a roll-up into one of her very own. We then have Danhausen continue his experiments on Miz and Kit when Matt Cardona comes in. Cardona is happy with the New York winning, but Danhausen steps away. Los Garzas come in to ask where Danhausen is, but Cardona tells them to get lost. Danhausen is back to Cardona and tells him not to touch whatever is under the sheet. So I think we get a match set up there. Los Garza kind of challenges Cardona to a match, and I think he says Danhausen will team with him. We then have Finn Balor. He runs into Tama and Talatonga, obviously, with their previous partnership in Japan. Tama says they do have a past. He also has one with Shinsuke Nakamura, too, and look how that kind of went. And then the Tongans leave together. So we'll see if we do some kind of reformed kind of Bullet Club situation with Finn, or if they continue to kind of exist on their own. I think they could stand to exist within a group with somebody. Maybe the solo group's kind of played out, but if they want to kind of do some kind of revamped Bullet Club type of situation with Finn, could be interesting. But I think if you're gonna have the two Tongans alone, I think you might as well just go ahead and release them with the rest of the group that they already have. So, because I don't think that will do very well. We then have Danhausen. He comes out with the catatonic Kit Wilson and The Miz for a promo. Danhausen greets the fans and calls the two of them the Legion of Danhausen, meaning we get their zombified catchphrases. We are toxic from Kit, and obviously Miz says awesome and hoorah and all that kind of stuff. Los Garzas then comes out to interrupt and jump Miz and Kit, but Matt Cardona comes in and makes a save. Nick Aldis then comes out to make a tag team match, like I talked about earlier, so it's made here and not earlier. Danhausen and Matt Cardona then defeat Los Garzas when Danhausen uses his cursing skills to set a pyro explosion off behind Berto, who is on the top rope, and then after he kind of falls down, Danhausen hits a reverse DDT and then gets the pinfall. But then go to Gunther. He is not pleased with Sami Zayn, saying their Night of Champions match is about Zayn's redemption. Question about his less than great win-loss record against Cody Rhodes makes things a little worse for him, and he is off to deal with Sami Zayn himself. We then have video of Liv Morgan versus Io Sky in the Queen of the Ring finals, kind of to set that up and get you a little bit more hyped for possibility of one or either of them possibly winning the Queen of the Ring. We then have Jade Cargill defeat Chelsea Green via pinfall with Jaded. After the match, B-Fab and Michin run in, but Tiffany Stratton and Alexa Bliss also run in, but the heels stand tall when Jade Cargill hits Jaded on Tiffany as well. We then have Solo Sikoa. He is asked about being alone, but Royce Keys kind of interrupts. Keys tells him good luck, obviously in the future, and then kind of walks away. We then have a video for the to hype up the match between Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins in the cage. Obviously, just gets a little extra hype up there. We then have Lil Yachty and Trick. They're pissed at Ricky Saints and are ready for some revenge. And Trick even says that he's prettier than Ricky Saints ever will be. So I thought that was a pretty funny line to throw in there. We then have the official breakup and end of Julia and Kiana James. Julia is able to defeat Kiana James via pinfall following the Northern Lights bomb. After the match, Julia is celebrating, and Blake Monroe finally shows up in the ring and lays her out. So that seems to be Blake Monroe's first rivalry that she's going to kind of get into. So we'll see how that goes for the two of them. And then we get our main event segment with Cody Rhodes coming out to cut a promo. Before he can really get too much into his rant, Sami Zayn comes out to cut him off. Zayn thanks his fans for being with him no matter what, and he's sorry for interrupting, but he's the last good guy around here. He apologizes for what happened last week, including hitting Cody with the title by mistake instead of Gunther. Cody asks, was it a mistake, though? Sami Zayn goes on about how this isn't about how he wanted things to go, and Cody doesn't buy that at all. Look at what is going on. Sami Zayn is getting a title shot in a country where he is beloved. Reality is that Zayn is exhausting as he keeps trying to take things and act like he's not getting opportunities at the same time. Cody Rhodes wishes that Kevin Owens was here because at least Kevin Owens would stab him in the front instead of in the back. And he also mentions that at least Kevin Owens was WWE champion at one point, which technically isn't true, but if you technically go by the history, the Universal title and the WWE title were merged at a certain point. So technically, if you're considering the WWE Championship the undisputed championship, that's those two titles together, he has been WWE Champion. But if you're going by technical WWE Championship history, he has not been WWE Champion, but he has been Universal Champion. But that's my little mini rant there. But Sami Zayn gets in his face and yells about how Cody Rhodes needs to keep Owens' name out of his mouth. Gunther then comes out and says that he doesn't care about all this drama that's going on. If not for Sami Zayn, he would be the WWE champion, and Zayn isn't a threat to him as a wrestler, despite having lost to him in the past. Cody Rhodes needs to enjoy his last night as champion because Gunther is taking the title. This brings out Jey Uso, who's obviously in the King of the Ring final, and he tries to run it back once he gets to the ring, but Gunther cuts that off, and he is actually successful, unlike Obafemi on Raw. Uso brings up making Gunther tap at WrestleMania, and he's going to make his bitch ass do it again. Gunther then attacks him, and then Gunther and Zayn are both cleared out of the ring as Cody Rhodes and Uso kind of go face to face. Obafemi then starts to come out. Gunther kind of revives and comes back in, and so does Sammy as well. But they're kind of both taken back out, leaving Rhodes and Obafemi to stare down to end the show. So obviously they have some unfinished business. They faced each other last December at Saturday night's main event. So there's some history there. So if Oba does end up winning, we'll see who he ends up challenging because obviously, like I said, there's some history there with Cody, but he's also implied that maybe Roman is something that he would want to see in his future. But like I said earlier, best match on SmackDown was Phoenix versus Frazier. So definitely check that one out. Probably one of the better matches of the week. I would probably still have to catch the Ricochet above that, but they're closer than maybe a lot of people would expect. So definitely check both of those out. We will go to Night of Champions as it occurred earlier in the afternoon, and we'll actually finish with Collision because it happened at night. We go to our opening match, the King of the Ring final. Oba Femi is able to defeat Jey Uso via pinfall following a fall from grace to become the 2026 King of the Ring. After the match, Femi said that Uso might have been able to beat one man, but he could not beat fate and destiny. Uso couldn't beat Femi. Uso couldn't beat Femi either because he is the ruler, the destroyer, and now he is the king. So we don't learn here who he will face, but I'm assuming we'll probably hear from him on Raw tomorrow night, and he'll announce who he's kind of going after. Based on the main event, I think he'll probably end up facing Roman, but we will see when we get there down the line, obviously. We then have Danhausen come out to cut a promo. He is happy because he has come into a lot of human monies. And then Liv Morgan comes out for her match, which the Queen of the Ring is the next match. She says the Judgment Day is not happy with how much money Danhausen has taken from them, and they want it back. Danhausen sees this as a threat and curses her, and then he gets slapped before she goes to the ring for her, like I said, Queen of the Ring final match. And because she got cursed, obviously, she loses. Io Sky becomes the Queen of the Ring for 2026. She wins with a pinfall over the moonsault. And then after the match, Io Sky goes ahead and picks Liv Morgan for her SummerSlam title match. So we will get a rematch of this match, which was pretty solid at SummerSlam as well. We then recap kind of the way we got to the WWE Championship match that will happen later on. So we kind of get a mid-show recap for the main event right here to kind of remind us of how we got there and all that kind of jazz. We then have Seth Rollins defeat Braun Breaker via pinfall following a stop from the middle rope in the cage match. So pretty brutal cage match. Braun Breaker got busted up hard way. He was bleeding from right next to his eye from his head. So pretty good match. Definitely on most cards would have been match of the night, but obviously there's one down the line that I think was a little bit better. We then had Trick Williams retain his U.S. title, defeating Ricky Saints via pinfall with a trick shot. After the match, Ricky Saints goes after Trick again, but Yachty is back with a kendo stick, and Yachty hits a people's elbow on Ricky Saints to get some revenge for Friday. We then have our women's U.S. title match. Tiffany Stratton's able to defeat Jade Cargill via pinfall when Charlotte Flair comes out, helps her old rival against one of her new rivals. She is able to hit Jade over the head with the Women's U.S. Championship, which allows Tiffy to hit the prettiest moonsault ever and get the pinfall victory. And then we have our main event where our big upset. I don't know if it's quite as huge an upset as everybody on Twitter and on ESPN and all that kind of stuff trying to act like, but Sami Zayn becomes your new WWE champion, defeating Gunther and Cody Rhodes. When Cody hits one crossroads and goes to hit another one, but Sami is able to reverse out of it and do a victory roll type cover. And like I said, Sami Zayn, of all people, is your new WWE champion. So, like I said earlier, I don't think Oba Sami doesn't sound like a match. Like, it sounds like a match that I could get into, but it's also not one that I think they're probably going to go with. With Sami beating Cody, I think I could see, obviously Gunther could say he's not the one that got pinned, so we could go Gunther, Sami. And then I could also see they could maybe even just run back the triple threat because Gunther, kind of has, he can say he didn't get pinned, and then Cody could obviously use some kind of rematch clause. So they may just honestly run this triple threat back, but I imagine he's going to face one of his opponents that he had here tonight. So, but that match was incredible. I'm assuming if you're a fan of this show, you probably already watched it, but maybe watch it again. And if you haven't watched it, watch it for the first time. It was absolutely incredible, as I would have assumed it was going to be going in. So, but like I said, we'll finish up with the Collision. We open with the Conglomeration retaining their Trios Championship. Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly. They defeat the Ops of Shibata, Anthony Bowens, and Hook when Roderick Strong hits a angle slam on Anthony Bowens. And then Orange Cassidy's kind of dazed, but he's the legal man. And Roderick Strong just kind of shoves him on top of Bowens to get the pinfall. We then have the Demand cutting a promo about getting back into some title races. They want maybe a trio shot against the conglomeration. But Lethal Twist comes in. That's obviously Jay Lethal, Lee Johnson, and Blake Christian. And they kind of talk about each other. They say they should talk some business, and Ricochet and Jay Lethal even talk about admiring each other's haircuts, which wink, wink, they're both bald. So kind of a funny little bit there. We then have the Death Riders. They're ready to send Will Ospreay to get revenge on Swerve Strickland in the Owen Hart final. It works for Will, who says the friendship with Swerve is over, and it's time to go to Wembley after he defeats Swerve on Sunday. We then have Kevin Knight retain his TNT Championship over Desmond Xavier via pinfall following a crash landing. We then have video of the cage match that will happen at Forbidden Door, the 12-man cage match. We then get a promo from the Triangle of Madness. Tekla has been told that she is the only one who is making the Forbidden Door feel like the Forbidden Door. If she wants to destroy the Forbidden Door, she's burning that bitch down this Sunday. Sky Blue is also ready to show how violent she can be on the buy-in, where she will be facing Micah in a qualifying match for the Survival of the Fittest TBS title match. So I believe that's the last slot as well. So we'll see if Sky Blue or Micah end up in that match. We then have Jericho, not Chris Jericho, but just Jericho. He defeats JD Drake via pinfall, or via submission, with the Walls of Jericho. After the match, Jericho puts the hold back on and insists that Tony Schiavone come in with a microphone and say that Jericho is better than Tommaso Ciampa. Jericho then grabs the mic himself. He says he's been looking for Ciampa, but he knows he isn't here tonight. He wants to thank Ciampa for leaving him beaten and bloody, but Ciampa won't be thankful for what Jericho is going to do to him next. Thunder Rosa is then getting interviewed along with the Divine Dominion. She isn't scared of Lena Cross or Megan Bayne, who don't really care whether she's scared or not. She insults their, obviously they both wear like goddess, like hats, wings, crowns, whatever you want to call them. She insults their headgear, and she eventually takes her shirt off, trying to act tough, and she seems to want to fight them, but they really don't seem to give a shit about her or anything that she's saying. So, as was I. I was not giving a shit about anything she said or did as well. Because I think she's fake tough, and I think she's kind of overrated in the grand scheme of things. So there's that. We then have Persephone defeat Billy Starks via pinfall following a Razor's Edge. After the match, Hikaru Shida runs in to go after Persephone as they're both in their Survival of the Fittest. And then the other women that are in the match all kind of charge out and chase Hikaru Shida away. We then have Mystico and Mike Bailey defeat the premier athletes of Aria Daivari and Tony Nese when Mystico is able to get Nese to tap to the La Mystica armbar. We then have Gabe Kidd. He says he's almost on his way back, and he is angry, and he is ready to unleash that anger on anyone that wants to get in his way. We then have Jake Doyle defeat Adam Priest via pinfall, falling into the void, which is basically a black hole slam. We then get another hype video for Maya World versus Mercedes Moné in the women's Owen Hart final. Mercedes has a pretty good line in here somewhere. She talks about how Maya World's kind of doing this for her brothers, and then obviously this is a dream of Maya's to win this tournament and go on to Wembley. And then Mercedes says, "Dreams don't win championships. I do." So I thought that was a pretty good line by old Mercedes. We then get... this is really funny to me, but we get a video of Willow Nightingale training to return to the ring and know she has made some mistakes in the past before, but she is coming back stronger and better than ever. And obviously maybe hyping that she may be going towards the women's world title once she gets back. But it seems like she's already almost on her way back. And I find it funny that she vacated a title that they still haven't given to anybody else. And she's almost back before the whole tournament's over. Obviously, it ends next week, but I just think it's funny that she's almost already back, and they still haven't given her title to anybody else. So they really could have just kept that on her. So just funny to me, I guess. But We then go to our main event, and Athena and Mercedes Moné defeat Hyann and Maya World when Athena hits the O face on Hyann. After the match, Athena and Mercedes beat up Hyann until Maya comes in to make the save, and then Maya does a moonsault out onto both of them onto the floor, and that is at the end of the show. Just a way to make, now obviously Maya is on the losing team, but it kind of makes her look strong to end the show going into the big match, to make you think that maybe there's any chance that she wins the match, which there's almost none. Again, I've said it in the past, if they do it, it's just to say the upset won the whole thing. But I doubt they waste a women's world title match. I doubt they waste a women's world title match on Maya World in one of their biggest shows of the year. So, though again, Tekla versus Mercedes would be a heel on heel match, so I don't see that really being something they go for either. So, we may be in for a surprise come Forbidden Door here tonight, but we'll see how it goes. But as far as best match for Collision, I would go with Kevin Knight versus Desmond Xavier. I thought they had a pretty high-flying, fast-paced match. The main event was very good as well. This show's kind of one of you could go with the opener 6-man or the tag match to end the show. I think there are 2 or 3 matches that are pretty evenly ranked, if you want to say, for me. But I just kind of prefer the pace of the action in the Kevin Knight Desmond Xavier match. So that's what I would go with. But again, the opener and the main event were also very strong as well. So, but thank you for joining me as always. Again, next week will be a pretty mega show. I have to cover 3 pay-per-views and all the TV. So, like I said, I'm going to try to watch as much as I can. If I have to run through just the results of one of the shows or more, that just may have how I have to do it. But I'm going to try to watch as much as I can, and we'll see when we get there. But thank you for joining me as always, and we'll see you next week.